Be sure to check out MythVisionPodcast.com. Help MythVision grow, guys. Become a Patreon member. You guys will get early access to all of my videos when I'm done editing them. Also, it's a small community where you guys can message me your questions and talk to me in private. You guys can donate also through PayPal. Join our social media links down in the description. We have Twitter and Facebook groups. Help the community of MythVision grow. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Hit that bell button so you're notified every time I do a live video and you don't miss any of my content. Like this video and comment your thoughts below because I want to know what you think about all of these things.
Dr. Price. We had a donation from Dan Everson, and he says, question for Dr. Price, what are the odds that Christianity started as a Greek theatrical production, perhaps in a place like Antioch or Damascus? Love your channel, Mr. Lambert. Thank you so much, Dan Everson.
Well, it's one of those things where it's plausible, though not necessarily probable, and those are the terms in which you're putting it. What are the chances? There's a book called something like I got this wrong in the draft review of this book, and I can no longer tell which is what I thought the title was and which is the actual one. Mark's Two Gospels or something like that. And in a minute, it'll probably hit me as to the author's name. She knows all about ancient theaters and drama, and she makes the case that Mark wrote the whole thing for in a different form, a script. For, I think it was Julia Domna, Domitian's sister, I think it was, and that this was performed in a theater built for the occasion in Rome. And she shows you how different scenes would have been plotted out on what part of the structure of an ancient theater. And she shows diagrams of what they were like and so on. And she says, not everything Mark relates in his gospel, which is like a kind of novelized version of this to keep it available, even though it was only a one-time show for the birthday of this woman, and that she played the anointing woman of Bethany, and which is admittedly all speculation, but it's a fascinating, plausible guess. And she says the stuff that they couldn't really have depicted on stage probably couldn't have been in the play, but was added to the novelistic version of it. And so there was a shorter drama enacted one time, and then it was worked into this story. This isn't the first time somebody has said that Mark's Gospel contains a play that was performed. A similar theory was advanced about the Book of Revelation, that the basis of that was a stage drama. Of course, you know, what that ought to be is a Toho Studios movie, similar to one they actually did called Yamato Takeru, which is based on Shinto epics and has plenty of giant monsters, which is, of course, why Toho wanted to do it. It is fantastic. It's amazing to see. And these people could easily do a Toho version with live action Leviathans and so on. Oh, how much I would love to see that. Forget about the plot. Forget about making it into a believable story. Just say, okay, on the assumption that John saw this stuff, as he says, probably didn't. It's a literary device. What did he see? Let's film it. I would love to see that. She is saying that her last name is Oder, O-D-E-R, like or in German. Can't think of her first name. I have a review of this in the Journal of Higher Criticism an issue or so ago. By the way, I would plead with everybody to get a copy of any issue of the journal, which you can order on Amazon. In fact, that's the only way you can get it. And just look up Journal of Higher Criticism, and it will show you several different issues, and then you can expand the cover, which has a table of contents, and see if you're interested in anything in there. I guarantee you will be. But anyhow, this says, I think Bishop Spong argued that I think the Lucan nativity story was originally a Christmas play. And so things like this have been, I think maybe Benjamin Smith, one of the great mythicists, had a version of this theory, that it was originally a play that was an allegory for the fall of Jerusalem, and so on. So there's interesting possibilities, but no one has approached it like Oder did. It's what she knows and brings to bear on it. It is really thought-provoking.
It makes me wonder because, I mean, it does seem kind of like that kind of story. It has like a birth, noble birth, and a low noble birth that develops into like any other story, but it could seem that this was like a play. It does sound like it could be a play. Mark, especially because it isn't packed on with all the other detail that it could cover the basics of doing an actual play. What are the odds, though, in your mind that this is that? I mean, I know that you entertain all ideas, but for you personally, do you find that it's found wanting? There's not enough evidence to suggest that that is what's going on here?
Well, there's not enough evidence to establish it. It's a possibility, but there's a possible latent circularity in the theory that, this and that and the other thing couldn't have been staged, so that must have been added later. Well, the more of that you bring in, you're saying Mark, as we read it, doesn't sound like a play. And you're cutting out the evidence that doesn't fit. And now everybody has to do that. That's the construction of any interpretive paradigm has to leave out anomalous data. You can't construe everything together necessarily. And so, I mean, that's the breaks. That's kind of probably inevitable. But something like this strikes me as possible and plausible, but not all that probable, just because it is purely speculative. It's not harebrained speculation, though. I don't want to make it sound that way. Could be.
Interesting. It's something to look into. Did it become a play at some point in particular? Like, did the church later on do any plays with it?
Oh, I'm sure they have, because we're still doing that with Jesus movies and with Jesus Christ Superstar. That is a play, really, that is just translated more easily into a movie, but it was just a studio album, and then it was a Broadway play performed, and that's got a lot of gospel material in it, though it's based on John, not Mark. Yeah, it makes sense. They've been doing it. I'm sure there were medieval miracle plays. The Oberammergau Passion Play is an example of this, though it's just the end of the gospel. But so it's not far-fetched. It's just one among so many possibilities that it suffers in the numbers, the odds, but not because it's crazy.
What about the 12 scenes of the Passion, if you will, that you go into a Roman Catholic church?
The Stations of the Cross.
Right.
Yeah, that's almost a script for a play.
Right. Makes me kind of think. It's interesting. Thank you, Dr. Bob.